All right, let's dive in. We're about to take a journey into a philosophical tradition that has spent thousands of years wrestling with the biggest questions life can throw at us. This is a look into the very heart of Indian thought and its single-minded focus on one thing, the quest for liberation. You know, at the core of this whole thing is a question every single one of us has probably asked. Why is there so much pain and dissatisfaction in life? Why do we suffer? And maybe more importantly, can we do anything about it? Is there a way out? This isn't some abstract thought experiment. For India's greatest thinkers, this was the problem to solve. And this problem has a name, samsara. The best way to picture it is like being adrift on a huge, endless ocean. It's this relentless cycle of birth, then death, then rebirth over and over again. And we're just tossed around by the waves, mostly because we're ignorant of who we really are. The goal for all of these philosophies is to figure out how to cross that ocean and finally reach the shore. So what keeps this cycle of samsara going? Well, that's where the concept of karma comes in. Karma is the engine that powers the whole thing, and it's so much more than just, what goes around comes around. It's seen as a universal law, almost like gravity, where every action, and this is the important part, every intention behind that action shapes our future, binding us to this endless wheel. Okay, so if samsara is the problem and karma is the engine, then what in the world is the solution? This is where Indian philosophy just explodes with incredible ideas. Think of liberation, that ultimate freedom, as the summit of a massive mountain. And the cool thing is there isn't just one single path to the top. All the great schools of thought, they're just different trails, each offering a unique way to reach that same peak. So let's explore a few of these paths. First up, let's take the path of the intellect, the path of knowledge, often called jnana yoga. The thinking here is pretty straightforward. If ignorance is what traps us, then genuine knowledge must be what sets us free. We need a deep, profound insight into what reality truly is. As the Bhagavad Gita puts it, there is nothing purer than knowledge. And central to this path of knowledge is figuring out the answer to the question, what am I, really? The Upanishads offer this incredible concept of the Atman. Now, this isn't your personality, or your ego, or your memories. The Atman is the silent witness inside you, the eternal, unchanging, pure awareness that is your true identity. It's the very foundation of your existence. And this brings us to one of the most fascinating debates in all of philosophy. On one side, you have the Vedanta schools, who say yes, that eternal self, the Atman, is real, and the whole point is to realize it's one with the universe. But then, Buddhism comes along and makes this totally radical counterclaim. It says there is no permanent self. What you think of as you is just an illusion, a temporary pile of 5 changing things: your body, feelings, perceptions, thoughts, and consciousness. And for a Buddhist, realizing that is the key to freedom. All right, let's switch gears to our next path, the path of action, or karma yoga. This approach is so clever. It takes the very thing that usually binds us to the cycle, our actions, and it turns it into the tool for our own liberation. It's not about stopping what you do. It's about completely changing how you do it. But before we get into the spiritual side of action, you have to hear about this other group. Not everyone was trying to climb this metaphorical mountain. Take the Charvaka school. These guys were ancient materialists who pretty much rejected the whole spiritual quest. For them, it was simple. The only thing that's real is what you can see and touch. The only goal in life is to enjoy yourself. And when you die, that's it. Game over. It's a great reminder that this was a lively debate with lots of different views. But for most of the other traditions, that just wasn't enough. They looked at action, at karma, and asked a different question. What if we could flip this whole thing on its head? What if the thing that ties us down could actually become the key that sets us free? And the Bhagavad Gita gives us this absolutely brilliant answer called nishkama karma. The big idea isn't to stop doing things, it's to practice renunciation in action. What does that mean? It means you do your duty, you perform your actions as perfectly as you can, but you completely let go of any attachment to the results. You're not worried about success or failure. It's that detachment that purifies the action and breaks the chains of karma. Now, if you want to see the path of action taken to its most dedicated extreme, you have to look at Jainism. For Jains, liberation comes through an incredibly strict ethical code, summed up by these 5 great vows. And the top one, ahimsa, or non-injury, is everything. It guides every single action to make sure absolutely no harm is done to any living thing, no matter how tiny. It's a path of incredible mindfulness. Okay, our third path up the mountain is yoga, the path of discipline. And this is a very systematic, very practical, hands-on approach. The whole goal is to gain complete mastery over the wild fluctuations of your own mind and body to reach a state of pure, calm, unshakable consciousness. The classic text, Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, lays it all out like a roadmap with 8 steps, or limbs. And you can see it starts with a strong ethical foundation, very similar to what we saw in Jainism. Then you move to the physical stuff that people know, the postures and the breath control. But all of that is just to prepare you for the real inner journey, withdrawing your senses from the outside world, focusing your mind, and finally, reaching these incredibly deep states of meditation. And that brings us to our 4th and final path. We've had the path of the head, the path of the hands, the path of the body, and now we have the path of the heart. This is Bhakti Yoga, the path of devotion. This path is for anyone who finds their freedom not through logic or action or discipline, but through an overwhelming love and total surrender to God. Wow, this one verse from the Gita just perfectly captures the spirit of bhakti. It's all about absolute faith. The idea is that the devotee stops trying to save themselves and just places all their trust in divine grace, believing that through that pure love and surrender, God himself will do the heavy lifting and carry them across that ocean of samsara. But the Gita is really smart about this too. It recognizes that devotion isn't one size fits all. It actually points out 4 different types of people who turn to God. You've got those who are suffering and just want relief. You've got the curious who are looking for answers. You've got those who want something for themselves, like wealth or success. But then there's the 4th type, the wise. They are considered the best because they love God just for the sake of love itself, with no other motive. So we've walked the path of knowledge, the path of action, the path of discipline, and the path of devotion. They all lead right here to the summit of the mountain. But what exactly is this place? What does the state of liberation actually feel like? Well, the goal generally goes by 2 famous names, moksha and nirvana. They're very similar, but there's a really interesting, subtle difference. You can think of moksha, which you find in Hinduism and Jainism, as being freed from something. You're liberated from the cycle of samsara. Nirvana, from Buddhism, is more about the blowing out of something. You extinguish the inner fires of greed, hatred, and ignorance that cause all your suffering in the first place. And really, at the end of the day, that's the key takeaway. The words might be different, the concepts might be different, the paths up the mountain can look totally different from one another, but they are all pointing toward the exact same thing, a state of being that is completely beyond the struggle and anxiety of everyday life, a state of ultimate, unshakable peace. So, the path of knowledge, the path of action, the path of discipline, or the path of devotion, the methods are diverse, but the human quest for answers is universal. After seeing these different ways of tackling life's biggest questions, the only real question left is, which one speaks to you?